Downing and I'm from Denver, Colorado. And if I were ever going to use one word to describe myself, it would be an athlete. I've been an athlete since I was 4 years old and my mom first took me to the swimming pool. And since then, I turned into a competitor in swimming and gymnastics, diving. And when I got into my late 20s, I started riding bikes. And of course, the next logical step was to be a bike racer. And once I started bike racing, honestly, I didn't look back. I absolutely loved racing my bike. One day I was out training. It was September 17th of 2000, and I was out with a friend and we were heading to Lookout Mountain from my house in Cherry Creek, and we were riding along and we were talking about what a great cycling season we had just had and had all these plans for the next year. Rode up the mountain at a leisurely pace, and as we were coming back into Denver, I was riding along kind of lost in my thoughts, but then I looked up and I saw my friend make a big swerving motion around the front of this car that had turned onto the side street. And in that moment I was thinking, well, surely the driver sees that there's a cyclist in front of her car. But then I realized that she didn't see anything. And so I went for the brakes on my bike and I couldn't get to them quickly enough. The front wheel of my bike hit the front bumper of her car. I was launched in the air off my bike, turning in midair, landing on my back on the windshield of the car and falling to the ground. And when I hit the ground, I realized that I couldn't move. I couldn't feel my legs, and I was wondering what happens next. Of course, it seemed like forever before the fire trucks and paramedics pulled up, but I was transferred from the scene of the accident to St. Anthony Central Hospital, where I spent 3.5 weeks in intensive care, basically trying to sort out all of the medical issues that I had. And at the end of that time, my family told me that I was going to be transferred to Craig Hospital for rehabilitation. When I got to Craig, it was sort of like what I call Life 101. Basically, they teach you everything all over again. I learned how to get in and out of bed. I learned how to get in and out of the shower, how to get into a car, how to drive. There were so many lessons that I learned during the time that I was in Craig Hospital. It was so important for me to be at Craig and to be able to receive top-notch treatment because that set the stage or the foundation for the rest of my life. The time I spent with the rec therapist was probably the most important time for me at Craig because I was an athlete and I wanted to continue to be an athlete. My first exposure to rec therapy was one day I was just in my room lying in my bed and Claire came into my room and she said, you know, my name is Claire and I'm a rec therapist, and she said, I don't know if you know what rec therapy is, but my job is all the fun stuff in your life and my job is to get you back to doing what you really love to do. So I told her, you know, I was a bike racer, so maybe I might like to try riding a hand cycle. She brought me down to the rec therapy room and helped me transfer into a hand cycle, and we went off on a ride, which was what really set the stage for me to be successful in sports after I was discharged from Craig. I think one of the things about having an accident such as this, having a change of life, is that it really makes you look inside and see who you are and really to push yourself further. And when I got out of Craig Hospital, I knew that I could do more with myself. I mean, I basically got a second chance. So I had to take advantage of it and I had to do something great. And you know, there were several areas of my life where I was able to really start to excel. One of those was in wheelchair sports, and another one of those was in education. My goal in going back to school was to be able to give back to other people who have disabilities, to other people who need to do what I've done and basically redefine their lives. You know, the Hahn Scholarship really gave me the opportunity to be able to go back to school, to figure out how to help other people with disabilities. And in turn, I started a camp for women in chairs called Camp Discovery. And it's an opportunity for women to come together, receive support to understanding and accepting their disabilities. I want them to be able to find out who they are and what they're looking for and to set themselves on a path that will get them to their ultimate goals. The Hahn Scholarship really gave me that opportunity to continue the goodwill throughout my community. I'd like to sincerely thank the CAPA Book and Author Committee for giving me the opportunity to express myself, to better myself, and to educate myself, but also to help students across the country do the things that they want to do and be able to reach for their greatest dreams.